Tonight, Prime Minister Alan Shasney sends out a collective call to CARICOM nations to come together to help the Bahamas. A former minister longs to see the rift between the local media and the government come to an end, and Captain Darren Sammy is all set to reignite the St. Lucia Zooks for the upcoming CPL T20. All this and more coming up in tonight's broadcast.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good evening. It is Tuesday, the 3rd of September 2019. Welcome to the Hot 7 Nightly News. We're on Flow Channel 117, also being simulcast on Kiss FM 105.5 and 105.9 radio. You can also watch us on our free mobile app. Just search for Caribbean Hot FM in the Play Store. I'm Rochelle Gonzalez, standing in for lovely Saint Amy Joseph. We begin the broadcast with a short feature from the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, who speaks on the latest developments of the weather system that recently ravaged the Bahamas. NEMO Director Doreen Gustav addresses assistance to the Bahamas and Hurricane Dorian response.
Weather events are unpredictable, and that is why NEMO is always appealing to the public to be prepared, be in a perpetual state of preparedness. And as we can see, that Dorian is just sitting on the Bahamas and hardly moving. Just imagine the devastation that is happening up there with a Category 5 hurricane. And we need to, as St. Lucians, be grateful and thankful that we are spared the wrath of Dorian. We are in a daily contact with CDMO through virtual meetings where we are updated. And CDMO has informed us that the immediate need for the Bahamas is water. Their water system is wells, right? And you can just imagine with the storm surge, the high level of water, that the wells are no longer, can no longer provide the clean and safe water that they would need. However, we cannot say that immediately that we are going to appeal to the public for bottled water. We need to determine how best we can get this resource to them. Now, we know that the Bahamas is a way off. It's not as close as Dominica, where we could get one of our partners to come on board and ship the items. So they will determine how best do we make an appeal for persons to contribute monies and send to them, or do we get the water and get someone to take it up there to them? We have to discuss that during the course of the day, and we are meeting with CDMA again at 1 o'clock, a virtual meeting, and we will make a determination and inform the public thereafter.
Thank you.
Based on the information that we got from the Met Office, we had to make a determination. And like I've said before, NEMO is about security and safety of the nation. And we must make decisions to ensure that the nation is secure and safe. And for that reason, we had to make a determination as to what time was best to shut down the country. And in the case of the BVI, when the storm decided that it was going to change its track, they didn't have much time. They called their meeting, their pre-strike meeting at 11 o'clock and had to shut down at 2:30. So we gave ample time for persons to prepare and ensure that, everything is in place and people are safe. NEMO has standard operating procedures that we follow for shutdown and all clear. Sometimes the information reaches us and we have to make an immediate determination as to what time is best for us to shut down the country, so as to allow persons to enough time to get the needs, the necessities for the hurricane, and to get home safely before the storm reaches. It is not always that we can follow that SOP to a T. So we're saying to St. Lucians, be in a perpetual state of preparedness. In the event that we have to call a snap shutdown, we will at NIMO continue to monitor any system and make the best decision for the protection and security of the people of St. Lucia.
The islands of the Bahamas have been battered by Category 5 Hurricane Dorian, which has amounted to the loss of life and property. Prime Minister Alan Chasney provided the media with an update on the situation. Chasney notes efforts will be looked at on an OECS level to assist the devastated nation. Meanwhile, he urged Caribbean nationals living in North America to play their part in assisting the people of the Bahamas through their time of need due to their closeness in proximity. More in this report from Solange Alfred.
Parts of the Bahamas felt the full brunt of Hurricane Dorian as the weather system made a slow passage over the island, unleashing catastrophic rainy conditions and winds. Initial reports indicate 5 deaths thus far in what has been described by Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Hubert Minnis, as a historic tragedy. Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Alan Chasney, assures he has touched base with Minnis to get an overall outlook on the devastating situation.
It goes without saying that our hearts and our prayers are with the people of the Bahamas. I've had the opportunity to speak to the Prime Minister a couple of times. Obviously, he's very distraught. This morning, he was able to fly over Grand Bahama and Abaco with the assistance of the U.S. government, who provided some helicopters for him to do so and also some planes. The road to recovery is going to be long and hard. Both Abaco as well as Grand Bahama are key economic drivers for the country of Bahamas. I mean, Grand Bahama is one of the largest container ports. It has a fairly sizable hotel plant as well. There's over 14,000, I've heard, homes that have either been destroyed or damaged. So there's an estimation of almost $8 billion initially of collateral damage that is existing in the Bahamas.
The PM then reflects on the fortune of St. Lucia being spared the full impact of Hurricane Dorian.
So in the case of St. Lucia, I again want to say that I'm very grateful to the Lord for us being spared. But even though you have the Lord on your side and you never know what He has in store for you, you must be prepared. And I want to reiterate to St. Lucians that we saw the unpredictability of the storm, where it was at 14 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden it dropped to 1 and 2 miles an hour, which is very similar to what happened to us with Hurricane Tomas. And then when we look at what Maria did to Dominica, which had started off as a hurricane, Category 1 hurricane, and within 7 hours became a Category 5. We as a country must be in a constant state of preparedness.
Chasney calls on the diaspora within Northern America to help in whatever way they can to aid the people of the Bahamas during this trying time.
We're really appealing to the diaspora to be able to assist, because logistically where we are, it's very difficult to get stuff there. So I know the OECS will be coming out with a statement, so collectively the OECS is going to be able to provide some support. From a CARICOM perspective, SEDEMA have been located in the Bahamas from the onset, and we're certainly working with them, and SEDEMA then has access to policemen, to doctors, to nurses. As they see what resources are required, they'll be made available. Right now, I think that the diaspora, particularly the ones in North America, are in a better position to be able to assist. And so we're going to be making a special appeal to them. And again, through SEDEMA, to be able to get an accurate list of materials that people want, so that what we're receiving is actually going to be going to some good use. I believe the Prime Minister Minnis has a very good relationship with the U.S., so I do expect the U.S. To come in and help him significantly. I know that the British have a warship already in the air, so all of us are standing by to be able to facilitate them.
As chairman of CARICOM, Alan Chasney released a statement which reads, quote, "At the last CARICOM summit held in St. Lucia in July 2019, Under my chairmanship, heads of government considered options for financing member states' actions to build resilience to the effects of climate change, including the establishment of a resilience foundation. It is my fervent hope that this matter will be given new impetus in the coming months. Immediately, the emphasis must be on assisting our brothers and sisters in the Bahamas in getting back on their feet in the quickest possible time." End quote. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solaj Alfred.
Meanwhile, the island's Prime Minister is thanking his lucky stars as he reflects on what could have happened to St. Lucia had the island felt the full force of Hurricane Dorian. Here once again is Solange Alfred.
After the storm clouds disappeared, what emerged was the realization the island may not be as ready as it thought it was in the face of impending adverse weather. A viral video showed the extent of the situation plaguing homeless people who were left out in the cold and sought refuge under the CDC buildings. Prime Minister Alan Shastney addressed the situation during an impromptu press meeting. He says provisions were made for the homeless, but they had opted to venture back into the stormy weather.
With regards to the vagrants that we had, we need to do a better job. My understanding is that some of them had gone into shelters, but once they were fed, they left. So I think that we're going to have to put necessary processes in place to ensure that once they go into the shelter, that they will remain in the shelter until the all clear is given. On a bigger note, the bigger task we have at hand, and it's one that I have personally taken up since I became Prime Minister, is that of building resilience. Unfortunately for us in the Caribbean and the smaller island developing states, reducing our emissions is not going to allow us to control our own destiny. So it means that we have to accept the fact that global warming is taking place. We have to accept the fact that these storms are going to get stronger and more unpredictable, and that there probably is not going to be a season as we've known it before. And therefore we have to build the infrastructure to be able to protect people's lives and, as much as possible, protect people's assets.
Furthermore, he says the designated shelters were also highlighted as an area of weakness for the island during the passing of Dorian.
That level of preparedness has shown us other weaknesses. So we've seen the state of our shelters, which we're going to have to do a much better job on. I feel that with our own NEMO, that we need to up the game. I'm not so sure that the local governments are involved to the extent they should. So are we identifying the homes where people should be forcibly evacuated? Homes that are not strong enough to withstand, homes that are in floodplains, and causing those people to be able to go to shelters. But you can't ask people to go to shelters if the shelters themselves are not in a state of readiness.
Shastney says efforts so far in building resilience, as well as being in a constant state of preparedness, has included desilting before and during the hurricane season and clearing of grassy areas around roadways and wiring. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solaj Alfred.
The people of the OCS region share the pain and suffering of the bereaved families and all others affected by this catastrophe, and join their governments in extending to the government and people of the Bahamas the deepest condolences in this difficult period. Our prayers and thoughts are with everyone who have been affected by this disaster. This is from a press release sent out by the OCS Commission. You're watching the Hot 7 Nightly News. When we come back, a former minister calls for unity between the government and the media. The RSLPF say they have plans to crack down on robbers, and parents sound off on the delays of the reopening of some schools.